What is up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another DePIN Happy Hour brought to you by Deep Network. Quez over here dancing. I love it. I love it. We got Tyler, Brad, Quez in the house, myself, yours truly, William. Brian will not be joining us, unfortunately. He has a family obligation he's attending to, but we wish you well, Brian. We wish you well. We may be joined by another guest here at some point, waiting to see if they still have time to come on. But yeah, other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. How are we all doing tonight, guys?
Pretty good. You got a dope background. What happened? Walk us through the beautiful sign you have behind you.
Yeah, he upgraded.
So yes, welcome everybody. This is my latest update. We're gonna geek out for just a half second. So there was a show in which we featured our sponsors yet again. Shout out to the Deep Network, and we also had Rob on the space, who is the one of the co-founders of 375. And amongst a discussion, Rob says like, "Yo, that sign that you have at the Deep Network is so cool." Well, they end up going behind the scenes and they're talking. And then Rob just asked me one day for my address. What do you know, man? A few days later, in the mail, I got this super sick LED sign from one of our co-founders, Rob Atherton. Rob, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I think it looks great. I got all my Hot Wheels up there.
Those Hot Wheels? I was going to ask you what those were. Those are Hot Wheels?
Hot Wheels. I actually just got this one.
Yeah, Rob, get me a sign too, Rob.
Yeah, Rob. Deep and Happy Hour sign, special edition. That's a sick ass Hot Wheel.
Please.
You gotta get that sign flipped though, man. I guess you got the front cam on there.
Yeah, since I got the front cam, it probably looks backwards. I wonder if I can change that now. Maybe, I don't know.
We know what it is. 375 AI, baby. Anyone that doesn't know about 375, oh, look at that.
Nice. I like it.
It's like you're tech savvy or something. What happened there?
Where's the soundboard? We need like a.
Oh, I got you on the. Damn it! I don't have everything here.
Oh, no, I like. Oh yes, that was good. That was good, bro. Good. I love MGS.
Classic.
Tyler has no idea what that is, but yeah.
I think you're muted.
I know what it is. Actually, I was gonna say that's the perfect segue for you saying we don't have everything here.
Well, you know what Metal Gear Solid is, Tyler?
Everybody knows that sound effect well. It's like the most ubiquitous.
But do you know about Metal Gear Solid? Like, do you know about the game?
I do.
Okay, I'll test you guys right now. This is does anyone know where this is?
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Yes. Tyler, where's that from?
I'm just kidding. Rob, man, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Good to see you back.
Yes.
Mr. GGTP, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Yo, we got a lot to talk about.
I know. I was about to say.
In the world of DePIN, in the world of rug pulls, I mean, so much has happened. Anything immediately that you guys want to kick off with?
Well, Easy coin.
Brutal, man. Brutal,
but it's also natural selection at its finest.
100%. Like, I don't know who bought into that, but hopefully none of our subscribers.
I'm just like shocked the celebrity meme coin meta, like it's not even meta, sorry, but the celebrity meme coin like scene is still around. Like it's been the same old story over and over again. And like these tokens launch, they pump really quickly and then they just dump every single time. And so I just don't understand. Like it hurts my head to think that people think it would be different with Kanye.
Yeah.
I don't think they've necessarily been around. They've just been like, it kind of died off and he's been talking about doing this for forever, but there was a bunch of weird things that happened simultaneously. There was a big Libra unlock. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes from kind of the on-chain sleuths of the world. So I feel like this was 8 months too late, but I think it happened intentionally as a result of all of those other things happening.
For sure. Like our good friend Hayden Davis.
Our good friend Hayden Davis. He was buying a new AP yesterday, I heard.
Yeah, what a piece of
shit. Today, I guess.
Yeah, that's just crazy, man. But there was also rumors a long time ago that Kanye like sold his X account and someone's been running it. I think a lot of these, I think AB too, Antonio Brown, like so apparently someone bought his account a while back. Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know who it is.
It became very obvious when we had the whole shakeout earlier this year. I think everyone knew, maybe we didn't know the extent of what was happening, but the insiders that are buying, you know, like they show what wallet when you see, but all of them have other wallets where they're getting insider tokens and dumping on people, man. Like,
yep. The other thing that was crazy was they traced the first person who sniped the Trump coin and made
Yep.
$1 million was also the first person to snipe the Kanye coin.
Uh-huh.
Highly coincidental. That guy's either the best trader of all time or he knows something. I'm gonna guess
I think they know something.
You know
for sure.
something that not
What if-
everybody else knows.
He
What if
obviously
it-
knows something. There's no way that just happened.
Very
by
insightful guy.
What if it's Nancy Pelosi?
That would be funny. I honestly would applaud her for that. That'd be hilarious.
Do you guys remember the guy on crypto on crypto Twitter that made a copycat account on Robinhood, and he basically just copy trades everything Nancy Pelosi does?
Oh yeah. He's
There's
killing
an
it.
app called Dub that it'll automatically match the portfolios of public figures.
There's also Autopilot. That's another app that just came out. It tracks like Nancy Pelosi. You can also follow your favorite investors. I was on a Wolf Financial space with them recently, and it's a really cool app. I just downloaded it. You can link your Robinhood to it pretty seamlessly, and basically they charge you a monthly fee. I forget how much it is, but you can attach your portfolio to whatever investor's portfolio you want, and it'll just copy trade them, and like they basically trade for you.
But that's so. Question about that, like that can't be in real time, right? It's like based off their disclosures.
So the Nancy Pelosi one, there's a 45 day delay on, but most of them, like Gav, the CEO of Wolf Financial, he has a crypto portfolio, and it's updated in real time. So as soon as he makes a trade, it instantly sends a signal to your Robinhood and makes the trade for you.
So like on chain, I get that. So I'm curious, as stocks get put on chain, I mean everything's going to get put on chain. Wonder if we'll be able to track that in real time, like for real.
Yeah, you just have MEV bots, like you have smart contract written up or an AI that just tracks everything on chain and copy trades instantly.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah,
but if they're like still, if they have investments with like a centralized entity, though, you might not be able to like track their specific wallet still. I don't know.
Yeah, like if you trade on Coinbase or Robinhood or a number of these exchanges, which I think most people will still do, even when everything's on chain. Yeah, you're not going to be able to track any of it.
Yeah,
that's what I think is going to happen at least. But
did you guys see the recent interview from speaking of trading on exchanges and whatnot? Did you see the recent interview from Brian Armstrong where he was talking about how Coinbase is he's trying to make it similar to Elon's vision a few months ago, or maybe a year ago, the Everything app or the Everything exchange.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty interesting, right? Like
that's his push with the Base app, right? Like his whole thing with the Base app is that it's a social media app. It's a DEX. It has a built-in DEX. It's everything. You can do everything on there.
I would go as far as saying that, and maybe I'm only speaking for folks in the US, but Coinbase is probably the most recognized crypto related company, in all of the US. I don't know about the world, but definitely all in the US. So I think it's a great position for them to be in. It's let's become the everything crypto, or really just everything exchange, for people to kind of keep using our stuff, and before you know it, it'll be one thing I really liked in that interview was all about tokenized stocks, right? Like people all over the world who do have capital, but they don't have exposure to anything in the US market, and they would like to. I mean, that's a play to make. So I think that's pretty cool.
I've always told people that if you want crypto exposure, especially more traditional finance people, or just more, just kind of general people that don't want to buy Bitcoin or something, I'm like, hey, just, buy Coinbase stock or buy Robinhood stock. Those two things, you'll get plenty of crypto exposure.
It's funny, when I was I don't remember if it was the EV3 summit, the first one that was in Mountain View, or if it was at this telecom event that I was at a couple years ago that was at the same hotel. He was there. Brian Armstrong was walking through. I was checking into the hotel, and I glanced up and I saw him walk by, and I go, holy shit, that was, and I was there by myself and nobody else was in the lobby. I'm like, that was Brian Armstrong, and nobody's going to believe me. And it was too fast for me to get a photo.
Did the light reflect off his bald head?
That was what it was. It caught my eye, and it was a reflection of the light in his bald head.
He's obviously not in DePIN because he lost his hair. So we were just talking about these guys' luscious locks.
That's why we're not successful, though. That also explains why we're not successful, Brad. We haven't pumped because we're not bald.
What can you do?
Exactly. But we had a massive week, though, guys. I know that we talked about it on the Daba space, Brad, but the helium news I thought was pretty big. We also talked about it in your space too on Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it remains to be seen. I think we still need some details hashed out and how this is going to work. But we've seen the token burns already up a lot. Like, look at those
Sharing
charts.
it. Yeah, sharing it. I just pulled this up minutes ago, so it should be accurate.
I think Nick made some valid points though. Like, is it 100% of like top line revenue? How is this going to work? And then like, the question then is how sustainable is it? Like, if you don't have any revenue to keep pushing the project forward, like how does that work? So we'll see how it plays out, but it's certainly interesting, and I think it was a really good topic to cover this week because we still don't really know how to value DePIN projects. Like we can compare it to the metrics we currently use, in traditional finance, because these are legitimate like startup businesses. We don't have anything else like that in the crypto space to this point. So I think DePIN's going to end up emerging in its own type of valuation category because of how they're structured. So it's pretty exciting though.
So what I'm understanding from this DC burned here on the right hand side, it looks like the credits burned, the Helium DC burned from just the MVNO revenue, like the subscriber revenue, is now greater than the daily, far greater than the mobile offload burned. Look at that. It's $34,000 daily around that amount, $30,000 compared to the 14,000. So almost 100% or a little bit over 100%. Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, I saw Amir's post, and he said that there was like a way they had a way to still pay the fees, the MVNO fees, without doing it. So I don't know what that way is. We'll see though.
Makes you wonder, like, well, I mean, maybe he's secretly referring to all those investor funds he's still sitting on. Not trying to sound like a hater, but I mean, they raised a lot of money.
They did.
Wow,
they did raise a lot of money. I mean, they are the most recognized DePIN out there. Like they're always referenced when DePIN's brought up, so it makes sense.
I would go as far as saying they're probably the most like penetrated into like consumer markets, or like retail market or whatever.
Outside of some of the big L ones, I think that's probably the case. Like everybody knows your Dogecoin and your Cardano and obviously like Solana, ETH, and Bitcoin. But in terms of a project name that people are familiar with, I think Helium's by and large got the most exposure, some of the most recognition.
For retail, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even people out, like even not people in crypto, but outside of DePIN, like even in the Bitcoin space, like they know what Helium is. I mean, you remember we asked those people at the Bitcoin conference, Brad?
Yeah.
I also talked to the Florida Blockchain and Business Association about this. What is it? Samuel Arms, who runs that, and he knew about Helium in the past, and he thought they had went under. He was like, "Oh, Helium, that thing's still around," and I was like, "Yeah, like it's way different now." And he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. We had so much attention from the whole like 2021, 2022, post COVID. It's like, hey, you can plug this thing in. They went so viral on all those channels, and then obviously the CoffeeZilla video got a ton of attention.
Yeah,
for better or for worse, but yeah, they've definitely become more of a household name than a lot of other projects. But
and so the CoffeeZilla video, was that before they did the whole like 5G mobile wireless, or was that after?
It was sort of during, but it was in the very early stage.
Okay.
Brad, I'm sorry. Are you sipping on a espresso martini right now?
Yeah.
Dude, that's nice. I cannot wait to start drinking again. Oh my god.
I am.
I'm
next
a little
week, guys.
Espresso martini'd out.
Next week, guys.
How many espresso martinis have you had, Tyler?
Well, today 0, but recently more than normal.
Okay.
It was basically the only thing I've had alcohol-wise the last week. But
it is one drink that like can be made really well or be made horribly.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
Most drinks are like a lot of drinks are kind of hard to mess up, but that is one where it's like, a lot of them try to get by without using like real espresso.
Yeah, there's like that gray area with a lot of drinks, but like with the espresso martini, it's a very fine line. Yeah, it's literally bad or good. It's not like, oh, this is okay.
It either has fresh espresso or it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, that's like the clear distinction between
100%, which mine
100%.
does.
Bob said something here. Is Helium the most successful DePIN project? Quote.
It's a good question.
Are they the standard? Is it the bar?
I think right now, like they're the most established. But You can look at other projects like GeoNet is a good example, I think, of one that's executed extremely well too. Helium has just done a good job of pivoting and finding good product market fit because they didn't find it right away. I mean, IoT, like they built on a network, they proved out that DePIN can work to get participation, but they didn't figure out the revenue side of it until they pivoted. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it depends on what your metric for success is. So, like, I think notoriety or like just marketing wise, yeah, like they've killed it. They have a lot of non-crypto interaction there, and like lots of the market knows. Like when they think of like I said before, when they think of DePIN, they think of Helium. So I think they're successful in that regard, and they are earning revenue, which is awesome. But yeah, like projects like GeoNet are earning just as much revenue. So if you want to make how much revenue are they earning again? It's like what? How many?
Their current run rate is like
4 million.
Yeah,
it's
like 40 million.
40 million?
No, I think it's like, is it 40 million? I think it's like
for GeoNet a year.
No, for Helium.
Oh, Helium.
Yeah, for Helium.
GeoNet is like 4.
Yeah,
GeoNet's like 4.
Okay, so I was thinking of I thought Helium was okay. So never mind. But it's 10x less then, but still, like they're earning. If you want to make your metric on revenue, sure, Helium's super successful there too. But like, it again, just depends on the metric.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as sort of a holistic. I try to look at things from sort of a holistic perspective. Obviously, on the direct consumer side, like they've probably got the most successful outside of trading apps. They probably have the most successful consumer application that exists on their wireless side. And then I think the other thing about their model is that they've got a lot of headroom to grow in terms of continuing to penetrate the Wi-Fi offload market. In terms of DePIN projects that have more revenue, the current players are effectively the GPU markets. And I think the GPU markets are going to absolutely explode. That being said, I also feel like it's a little bit more difficult to compete. That feels more commoditized. You need to build enough of a infrastructure moat to keep yourself to be able to hold yourself to lead on the wireless side. And I think they've hit that inflection point. And so as a result of that, it'll be easier for them to continue gaining market share. But I mean, in terms of revenue, if that was the only metric, you could argue the GPU networks are doing more on that front. But
I would say that the question I have about Helium, though, and really all these Wi-Fi offloads, like how sustainable is the revenue they're generating from these telecoms? Like, are they going to continue paying the same amount, or is that going to be dropping over time? And I think as there's more competition, more options, I feel like they're going to be able to drop the price they're paying. That offload,
drop it, negotiate between other providers. I mean, I would also add that yes, they've been the most successful in terms of penetration. Like I agree with Tyler's statement, but I also feel like they still owe easily a ton of money to their investors. Like how in the black are they?
To the point about GeoNet, like GeoNet's been around for a fraction of the time that Helium is. So arguably their growth rate trajectory has had success quite a bit more quickly. And they've raised significantly less money. And so, it's like, it's like the WeWork thing. You raised billions and billions of dollars. You had a few $1 billion in revenue, but that business was not very, very sustainable. It basically required continually stealing from Peter to pay Paul, more or less. And not that that's necessarily going to be the case in Helium, but there is an argument to be made from a capital efficiency standpoint. Maybe there's other projects that have higher success metrics, which I think GeoNet would very easily be in the running for that.
Do you think GeoNet has a big enough moat right now? Because Anakoy is out there, and Anakoy, I don't know if you saw, they announced a partnership with WeatherXM today.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, that's a partnership with a fellow DePIN project, which I would say there's like a little bit more towards like distribution, maybe like getting exposure between different communities, like maybe building hardware that's like, sharing sensors or something like that. Like that's a little bit different. Like I think Anakoy in comparison to GeoNet is probably in need of more deployments such that they can get more coverage. But I'd have to actually like look into that and verify.
I mean, I think personally, the RTK, especially the autonomous vehicles, RTK market's probably big enough for more than one player.
For sure.
But like the moat that GeoNet has today is they do have the Web 2 customers, but they're cutting off at like 20,000. So, that does give Anakoy the ability to catch up potentially on deployments over time.
When you say cutting off, what do you mean? Like total deployment locations?
Well, they're cutting off their NFTs for deployments to where you can maximize your rewards at 20,000, because they already have like really, really good coverage. Originally in their white paper, they thought they would need 100,000 deployments to get really good coverage, and they've reassessed that now.
Yeah. Bob's question is where I was going. Do we have any deeper projects that we can truly call successful, sustaining businesses? I mean, I think the verdict is going to be out to some degree. Like if you look at the Wi-Fi offload market, Quez and Brad bring up a really good point. What will those margins look like? Are the telcos just going to negotiate, try to find someone else, whittle those things down? That could eat into the long-term viability and, obviously the profitability of it. But I think there is still some newness to that business model, that there is a unknown aspect to how long that'll be there. I mean, I saw XNet posted something about the TAM for Wi-Fi offload being a fairly large number. I want to say it was 100 billion in the next few years. So if that ends up being the case, you could argue that there's going to be quite a bit of sustainability that'll be around these DUI projects as it relates to offload. But, a lot of times people just pick really large numbers and say, hey, this is what the market's going to be based on some arbitrary standard or some growth rate that they pulled from other models, and how accurate that ends up being is TBD.
So it's a good question. In my opinion, self-sustaining would mean that you're past the point of just like straight up emissions to bootstrap in the early stages, and revenue can sustain it, right? So you could look at it as, okay, when a project becomes deflationary on token burns, like maybe that you can consider that sustainable. But I just don't think any of these projects have been around long enough to get past that bootstrapping phase yet. There's a lot that are on that trajectory, but I wouldn't say that any of them necessarily are like fully self-sustained at this point without needing to still have those token emissions.
I do think there are two that might break that mold, though. And again, just fair warning, I don't have any bags in either one of these projects. I'm just a big fan of what they're doing.
375 AI.
Well, I mean, that's trying not to be biased here, but no, Aoki, big fan of what Aoki is working on. I mean, they're just landing clients left and right, new pilots, new stores. I mean, making a case for why their product makes sense, both from a retail store perspective, and then even a consumer perspective. People being able to find what they're looking for in a much more efficient manner. And then Hivemapper, I think Hivemapper also has a really unique case for success. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that they mapped like a third of the world, like
30%, I think.
30% of the world or whatever, in like a quarter of the time that it took Google Maps and Apple and all these other players Waze. So I just think, and then we also talked about in another episode their partnership with Volkswagen, right? Like, and how they're trying to do a lot more of this like robo taxi training, and I just think there's a lot of other avenues that their data could take beyond purely mapping that becomes very interesting, and also another avenue for profit. So those are the two projects I'm watching.
Hivemapper's done a really good job of getting Web 2 customers, for sure. Their tokenomics kind of effed up. They had a ton of dilution. Let's be real. Like, they unlocked, I think, 4 billion tokens by the end of this year will be unlocked to investors and founders, 40% of their supply. So that I think other projects are going to look at that and be like, hey, I hope we get to a point where projects have a longer term unlock, and that are unlocks that are tied to milestones that the team has to hit. I mean, I think it's like, obviously people know I'm a big fan of Hivemapper and what they've been able to execute on, but I think some of the tokenomics could have been laid out better, personally.
Yeah, people are looking at the tokenomics right now and they're saying
that shit is fucking trash, dog.
I mean, the good news though is that all those emissions are going to be out at the end of this year. So when you look at new emissions, we could start to see at some point it become deflationary, net deflationary on new emissions. But just know that dilution happened though.
I put a research article out a few months ago, and that's the challenge, right? Is it like once you've put those in, it becomes an externality on the network because you effectively can never dilute those tokens away. You can only do it on net new emissions. And so as you're looking at the value standpoint, you always have to factor in tokens, and it varies depending on the tokenomics model, but you always will have to factor in tokens that are effectively a cost to the rest of the supply because those cannot be diluted away, and they don't really represent value. So it's part of the bootstrapping, but there's definitely a lot of challenges. By the way, I wanted to call out Robert's comment, which he said, I think the best path to success for DePIN is not giving up ownership for funding. No shareholders leads to better performing revenue. I agree. In a perfect world, I think realistically that's pretty difficult to achieve. There's basically, you either assume that you have enough money to bootstrap the network, or you can be really, really scrappy. I used to think that way about politicians. I used to have this opinion that they shouldn't be paid. It basically should be a volunteer job. And then after I got a couple of the data points, I realized then you basically only have rich people or people that can lobby really well to get their way so they can fund their living expenses, which has adverse effects as well. But I think in a perfect scenario, if you could just build a pure network, kind of a Bitcoin style way, then all the incentives are aligned. But
that might have been one of the only unique times that a network has been stood up like that, and everybody would like. I think we'd all like to be optimistic that it could easily be done again, but like, goddamn, how long did it take for Bitcoin to get where it's at today? Bob saying Deep did it back.
Yeah. You need one of those God did moments, that DJ Khaled verse.
God did. Yeah, that's right. Exactly what I need.
Oh, yeah.
Deep did do it, but they also had Nerd Node that they had set up, built up for a long time before that, where they had revenue coming in. They happened to have the same project founders move over to Deep. So, I mean, like a Hive Mapper, think about that. I mean, they had to develop their own hardware, on top of building out all their backend tools to make the data valuable. There's a lot of costs that go into the setup, startup costs for these different projects, and depending on the project, some more than others. So my question would be like, I don't think a lot of these projects would be able to start up without having investors.
I could tell you right now, 375 wouldn't have. Like, I mean, the cost of producing the hardware, like, it wasn't going to happen without startup help, or without VC help.
Yeah.
Shout out to our investors.
Well, VCs played that role, right? Like you to say that we could get a DePIN that is entirely built from no VC investment. I mean, yes, that'd be awesome. That'd be like idyllic, but like I don't know. It's not feasible for many out there. So I just think VCs have a role to play. It's all about how you handle it, right? Especially in your tokenomics.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because Hive Mappers proved that, right? Like Hive Mapper, like just like Brad says, a great model. They have a lot of Web 2 customers, but their tokenomics are just a little messed up.
They were early on, yeah.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to who you take money from, because there's extractive VCs and then there's VCs that obviously they want to make a return, but they also see that it's not just about max value extraction from day one with like crazy unlocks and other things. Sometimes those opportunities are not afforded to founders who maybe don't have as good of connections, and they don't have the ability to kind of raise from the ideal venture fund. But if you do raise money from people that are both economically and principally aligned with what you're trying to build, ideally the value exchange should mirror that relationship.
I agree.
For sure. But I mean, when you look at VCs, like even outside of crypto, like their standard vesting schedule is 4 years with a 1 year lock. So it's not like it just so happens to line up with the crypto market cycles to this point. But it's not like crypto is just like different in that sense. I think that's pretty standard for VCs, but it would be nice to see some of these token unlock schedules longer, for sure, because it does line up with the market cycle. And then you see like a lot of times they'll just dump at the in the top of the bull market, and then it's really hard to sustain a project long term.
Well, I had a conversation with the DePIN economist, one of the Glyph co-founder, Jonathan, quite a while ago, and so he had talked about kind of a KPI-based tokenomics model. One of the things I really like about the deep tokenomics is that their unlocks are 100% KPI based. Like they do not get tokens unless they meet success, not just arbitrary metrics of, oh, we did this thing. It's like actual traction success metrics, certain amount of workloads, workload diversity, obviously like the number of nodes, but that's sort of a function of the workloads, which is really what you want to see because they are aligned to make those goals happen. And if they don't happen, their financial upside doesn't exist. And that's, I think, it just ensures that all the incentives are aligned. I know we talk about that quite a bit, but it's one of the few projects from a tokenomics standpoint where I've seen they fully unlock their tokens based on traction-based success metrics within the network, which is awesome.
More of that, please. More of that,
for sure.
But
for sure,
you guys just don't want like random meme coin launches. Like, come on, KPIs.
I like those too.
I mean,
we know you do, Tyler.
As long as it's a fair launch, like Yeezy.
There's only one meme coin that people should buy into.
Yeah, Yeezy was unfortunate. It was a completely fair coin.
Total fair launch there, guys.
Completely fair launch. No scamming involved there, and it's just unfortunate what happened.
Oh man,
what's the over under on you guys thinking if I bought Yeezy and if I made money on Yeezy?
Yes, you bought Yeezy. No, you didn't make any money on Yeezy. That's what I'm guessing.
Right? I don't think you bought Yeezy.
I think yes, you bought Yeezy. And yes, you made money.
With that smile, it looks like he made money.
He made money. He made money.
Tyler's smart. Tyler's like, oh, this is
really smart, dude.
I'm a terrible trader, though. Let's be honest. I always like to caveat that I'm decently good at investing long term. I'm really not great at the short term trades. Now, I got an alert for it like 2 minutes after it came out, and I did buy it. I didn't buy a lot, and I did make a nice little 2x, but that was it.
So you turned $1 into $2.
I turned something around that dollar.
You're just like me, dude. Like anytime I buy, if I do buy meme coins, like if you like shout something out and you're like, "Hey, you should buy that," I'm like, I'll put like $10 in there, and I'm like, all right, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Anytime someone mentions a different meme coin, all I could think in my head is like, I could buy that, or I could buy MOG, and then I full port MOG. Simple.
You're still holding your MOG?
I look at it as like ARB, like scalp a little ARB and take that and put it into more things. But
yeah.
My whole trading strategy is anything to remove stress from my life is exactly what I'll buy. And, I just can't imagine a world where after Ethereum rips to 140K that my MOG bag isn't looking ridiculously fat. MOG to $1. This is not financial advice, by the way.
You know what the ultimate strategy is if you're trying to buy stuff that's gonna make your life easier. Just buy the Ethereum ETF and then sell covered calls on it, especially when it's ripping like it has been. There you go.
I don't know what those terms mean. Covered calls.
Will, you want to know something? I was going to tell you this. We haven't got a chance to chat, but I've been starting to get into option trading a little bit more, and covered calls have been right up my alley.
It's great, dude. No, covered calls are a hack, man. No one does them. It's insane. But basically, covered calls, Quez, are you're basically making a bet with someone. You're selling a bet with someone, saying that the price of the asset that you own isn't going to be a certain price by a certain time. And if you're right, which you're right most of the time, you get to keep the entire premium they just gave you. But if you're wrong, then you have to sell them the shares of your underlying asset at the price you agreed upon.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yes. So technically, you're not losing any money. The only negative downside is you have missed opportunity. So yeah. Well, no, when you're selling options, you like theta decay though. Like that's the thing is like whenever you're selling options, you cap your upside, but you basically have a higher chance of winning. It's like 70 to 90% typically every time you do it, depending on which delta you're at or which strike price you're at. But with covered calls, again, the only downside really is just the opportunity loss. So like if I own Tesla at 300 and I sell covered calls saying, oh, I don't think Tesla's going to be $350 by the end of October, and someone makes that bet with me, if Tesla goes to $400 by the end of October, then I lost that $50 upside, but I'm still making that $50 premium plus the money I kept from the bet.
Right.
So it's like, yeah. So again, you're not losing any money in that situation.
You put some on UpXE, right?
Oh yeah. I bought a bunch of calls on UPXI. Yeah.
Where you guys think it's going to go?
I don't know, but I'm down horrendously on the calls right now.
What do you put it in at?
Like 40 cents or 60 cents. It's like they're like pennies right now. Like literally, it's worth pennies.
Huh.
Yeah. So I just keep buying. I'm just like, okay, I'm buying $10 calls right now for.
You know what's
UPXI.
funny is like
for end of September, I think. Sorry, go ahead, Quest.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I don't know that the Sol ETF is a play. Like,
it remains to be seen because the one that's out now, the SSK one, it says it's a spot ETF, but I don't.
It's not.
It's not exactly
staking.
Yeah, it's a staking ETF, and I mean the price performance has been very similar to what Sol's doing. Like Sol goes up 3%, this ETF goes up like 2.5 or maybe even close to 3.
Yeah, so, I want to hear you out on that.
Yeah,
Quest.
sorry,
I very much disagree.
I just think the narrative is kind of outplayed. Like, MicroStrategy started this whole thing. Like, I mean, I know they're not like a direct ETF, but like, hey, we're just gonna like our entire model is we're just gonna keep buying more and more Bitcoin because we know over a long enough time horizon that it's gonna be worth significantly more than what it's worth today, and that's the bet that we're making. And I think that's a cool, like, solid narrative to back because, like, Bitcoin is one of the scarcest assets on the planet. It is the scarcest asset on the planet. But I don't know that you could say the same thing about Ethereum and Solana. And the only reason I would even make the argument that an ETH ETF is like worthwhile, or again, like something like an S-Bet or
pump your bags.
Huh?
To pump your bags.
Pumping your bags, Quez.
Whatever. Dude, I wish I had Ethereum bags. Like, I'm a big ETH maxi because of like the principles, I wish I had a bigger ETH bag to hold myself. But like my argument is that I actually think Ethereum will be significantly more utilized than Solana will ever be. Not that Solana doesn't have a place in the ecosystem of the world, but I do think that Ethereum will overwhelmingly exceed that of Solana. So like, why make a play on a Solana ETF or Solana holding company?
Are you talking about? So are you talking about the spot ETFs or the treasuries, the treasury companies?
Well, what is the UPXI?
That's a Solana treasury company.
That's a Solana. I don't think that's a play. I don't know if that's a play. Maybe a Solana ETF. Okay, like
are you talking about strictly for price performance? Because I mean, the ETF in my mind is less about. It's less about it's less about like exposure to. Yes, it's about exposure to the price of Solana and Bitcoin and all this stuff, but it's less about that and more about access to different markets, like access to different segments. So the ETF unlocks access to a bunch of different investors, different accounts, and access to different financial products, aka options trading on these things.
In that, so speaking strictly to price performance, I think a smart trader is going to listen to what I say and say, "Oh, I'm definitely going to make that trade," because you should always counter trade everything I say. But I guess I'm just saying, like, over a long enough time period, I think a lot of that is like long-term price performance is going to be dependent on adoption of the underlying asset. And Solana is doing very well. And again, I can't be a hater because like even the project I'm working for right now is built on Solana. I think there's a lot of very fundamentally good things about Solana. The question becomes is which chain ends up having greater adoption. Hell, we could all be wrong right here, talking about ETH versus Solana, and Avalanche is the one that gets all this crazy institutional adoption. Like, again,
that's my bet. That's my bet.
Avalanche is going to also do very well.
So like, that's kind of my argument. A trader who knows this game will play for price performance. Cool. Long term, like I don't know. I don't know that that's going to perform quite well. So I don't know. That's my argument.
Yeah. So I'm following the money right now, and the amount of assets, liquidity that's being bridged over to Solana right now is actually insane. And
where are you seeing this? Sorry to interrupt.
So you can see there are different places you can track how much liquidity is being bridged from one chain to another. So there is somebody said there's an echo.
Yeah, that's probably me. Sorry.
What about now? Try talking now.
So to me, I think there's absolutely going to be a big move into Solana. You saw that there are also a lot of companies that are starting to launch stable coins on Solana now. You're seeing a lot of assets bridge over there. They're also upgrading their chain a lot right now. I think the big question is like, when is the market structure bill going to pass? Because we already have clarity basically around Ethereum and Bitcoin at this point. But I think once the market structure bill passes, I think the spot ETFs are going to get approved. And then I think these treasury companies could still be a really good play. The question about the treasury companies I have is like, okay, the net asset value, the MNAV, right? Is that going to continue to trade at a premium or not? Because we already see a Bitcoin treasury company this week. The CEO came out and was like, hey, we're trading at a discount, like 80% of their underlying holdings.
I saw that.
Which is like not something we saw earlier this year. Most of them are trading at 1.5. Like, I think right now MicroStrategy's at 1.5, but it was a much higher premium for a while. But I personally think Solana is about to see a huge inflow of capital. Likely, I think people start buying up. They'll try to front run these catalysts that are coming up, which are probably going to happen in October. But I think people are going to start front running it, man. And we're already starting to see it. We're seeing a lot of capital flow into Solana right now. And I'm very bullish on it. Like, I wasn't so much earlier this year, but I am right now. I think that Q4 is going to be really, really good for Solana personally.
And maybe you said this earlier and I might have missed it, but like, why did you think there's so much capital coming on to Solana? Like do you think there's a particular reason for that? Is it people just making bets?
Well, I think for one, it's the people are building on Solana. So you have Ethereum. Ethereum has been able to really hit on the stable coin, the Genius Act, and that catalyst, and a lot of institutions are putting stable coins on Ethereum. But the builders are building on Solana. And I think for people that are coming in new to crypto, they're like, oh, Ethereum, cool. And they're going to find out what everyone else found out. Like, well, you kind of have to use layer 2. Ethereum isn't the best to build on, really. Base has already become the biggest layer 2. I think that ecosystem is going to explode as well. But I think people are going to find out pretty quickly, like, hey, Solana, now their transactions per second are going to crush all the other major layer 1s. They've got a number of upgrades that are coming out right now, and I think RWAs are going to be in many cases on Solana as well. I think we're going to see a lot of building and a lot of capital flow into Solana. We're starting to already see it, but I think, to me, the market structure bill, the Clarity Act, and the passing of the spot ETFs are going to be the two catalysts where you start to see major capital flow. And I think Avalanche is another one that we have to keep eyes on too. And then with the treasury companies, like, man, it's going to be a real question of like if they continue to be valued at a premium or not. Because we're starting to see like that narrative is starting to like get a little bit iffy at this point. But you look at what's going on with UpXC, like they just had Arthur Hayes added as a consultant advisor, I guess, kind of like Tom Lee with the biggest Ethereum treasury. And I do think UpXC currently holding like 2 million Solana. They're going to continue adding. And then that DeFi development group's another one that I have a holding in. And I'm looking at other treasury companies, like we could see Doge.
Yeah.
I think there's a Doge treasury play, potentially XRP. We'll see, man. Obviously the market's like bleeding out right now a little bit. So some of these MNAVs are dropping, but I could see that shift the other direction again, possibly in Q4.
Yo, if I may, I just want a quick sidebar. Yo, Burrito, I do have your shirt. I have all of them right over there. I'm so behind on sending stuff out, but I do have your shirt, and I would show you, but like this part of my room is a mess, so I'm not going to show you that right now, but it is right there. I'm going to fucking send it. I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience. And then also I saw another one that I thought was kind of funny, or not funny, but shout out to this to Simon from Wayfi, who's talking about, I love Solana and all, but you can't say it's undervalued. The majority of the traffic has been proven time and time again to be bot traffic on meme coins. We need real projects to boost its value. Well, my argument actually in in support of Brad's counter is very much that there are a ton of businesses on Solana. I mean, I would go as far as saying DePIN, the home of DePIN, is very much on Solana. And we got two different chains that are supposedly dedicated entirely to all things DePIN or machine economy, whatever. So as far as I could tell, like, businesses see a lot of value on Solana, and I actually think there's going to be a lot of maturing in the space, such that people will see big use cases or big applications. And again, all of this is going to be totally abstracted away from the user. Like, most people won't even know what chain they're on. They're just going to be using applications and enjoying the experience of that application or the service that it provides. So yeah, sorry for the sidebar. Just had to.
No, man, you're totally good. Like I think we're gonna see Solana hit new all-time highs in Q4, personally.
For sure.
And not financial advice, but that's my personal opinion.
I think the same thing too, Brad. Pending global economic situation, if we're
like
not in a recession.
meltdown.
Yeah, because I still think my thesis of we're gonna have a sharp crash before we completely moon again. Not as steep as COVID, but something similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna have that before that, but I'm on your boat. I'm on the boat of Solana, definitely hitting all-time highs.
Higher lows, lower highs.
So exactly.
Yes.
So this is MicroStrategy, by the way. So I just want to kind of lay out the MNAV. So you have your enterprise value here, the 110,364. This is in millions, by the way. Their underlying assets, the BTC NAV, the 70,935 right there. So their enterprise value divided by their underlying assets equal their MNAV, their multiples. So they're at 1.55. So they're selling at a premium over their underlying assets is basically what that's saying, the 1.55. So that's the big question. Is are they going to continue to trade at a premium? What happens in a bear market? Raoul Pal came out and said that this week. He's like, hey, these treasury companies, the ones that don't have a plan for the bear market, are going to get absolutely crushed. They're going to have to liquidate their holdings. They're going to be forced to sell. And I think that's ultimately what's going to push us into the next deep bear is the unwinding of these treasury companies, in my opinion, especially ones that are using leverage. And that's going to be a big problem. But
yeah,
in the short term, at least through this year, to William's point, as long as the macro cooperates, we'll see what Jay Powell says in Jackson Hole tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could still see the treasury play do well for a period of time before it starts to unwind.
I'm actually surprised that the strategy's debt is lower than it was, because as soon as you said enterprise value, I'm like, yeah, but they've raised a shit ton of debt. And enterprise value includes debt in that formula, but it's actually relatively low.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I thought they'd raise significantly more debt.
Yeah, debt to BTC NAV 12%. That's actually not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
12%. Yeah.
So, but some of these treasury companies were at much higher premiums though for a while, crazy.
That's what
premiums.
happens. Yeah.
See, but that makes you wonder is if you're evaluating whether you should be holding these assets, in the case of MicroStrategy, holding their stock, why not just own the underlying asset without having to pay for the premium?
Well, that's the question. I mean, but look at ETH, okay? And I think this is a good example. Bitmine did, ETH obviously is up a lot, right? It was, I think, in April down to it got down to
1,600 bucks.
Yeah, $1,600. So it's only a 3x. But you look at Bitmine did a 15x since June. So people were getting much higher multiples on these treasury plays if you front ran them. So that's why. But now it's okay, is that going to continue? That's the big question. I think in the long term, owning the underlying assets is going to make more sense. But I think it's kind of hey, you can leverage this moment in time to take advantage of some of these premiums. Is kind of how people are playing it.
That's kind of the arbitrage opportunity was because the premium was based on their basically cost basis.
Yeah, and I think also it's okay, how much more are they going to add of the underlying asset versus the dilution they're going to add to, for the underlying asset. So I think, I think that for a while there's been this play, and I don't think it's played out yet, but I think it's going to happen. And we are seeing it though. There was the CEO again of that Bitcoin treasury company came out this week. He's like, we're selling at a discount. He's actually they're actually going to be buying shares out, so that it gets back to a 1-to-1 on the MNAV, because right now it's at a discount. So it's
Brad,
super interesting.
On a kind of a similar topic, I'm curious because I didn't read into the specifics of how much it was as a total percentage, but I saw that BlackRock had dumped, speaking of this comment of selling and creating FUD, was that BlackRock had sold some of their Bitcoin and ETH holdings today. Do you have any personal opinions on that?
People
think that was overblown.
Yeah, I think it's overblown. People talking about like BlackRock selling. It's like, well, are you talking about the ETFs? Because that means people are selling and they have to sell the underlying asset because people are selling the ETFs. It's not like BlackRock. Yeah, it's not like BlackRock selling
Larry Fink's pressing this whole button. He's
holdings. Like, I think people are expecting some volatility. We don't know what Jay Powell's going to say on tomorrow, right? As far as whether or not they're going to cut rates. I personally, right now, with all the data that we have, like, I think they're going to do a 25 basis point cut in September. I think it's going to be kind of like an insurance play. And then they're going to see what happens with CPI going into October. And then they're going to decide what to do from there. But I don't think we're going to see 50 basis points. I think they're going to do like an insurance cut just because the job market is weakening. Consumer spending is weakening. So they have to do something. Yeah. But I don't think they're going to commit to like multiple rate cuts this year. And everyone was like freaking out about the FOMC meeting, the minutes, that come out a few weeks after the FOMC meetings. And they're like, man, they said that the data doesn't, justify any cuts. But that was like the day before we got the huge downward revisions in the job market. So like they didn't have that data in the minutes that were just released. So I think things have changed. But at the same time, I think they're going to wait to see like, how is the PPI that came in way above what people expected. I think they want to see it. Or those costs can get passed on to the consumers and affect CPI. So we'll see. Someone just said in the comments, job market is pretty shit right now. The job market is terrible right now. Yeah. They've been fudging the numbers. That's the other thing to pay attention to. I think it's like September 9th. They're going to do the annual revision. And right now they're expecting that revision, they're going to be like 550 to as much as 950,000 jobs that they're going to revise downward on the year.
Woo! Well, and one of the things, I don't know if we talked about this on stream. I know Brad and I talked about this over a friendly game of PGA, but a lot of the job additions that were being added, a sizable percentage of them were healthcare jobs, which aren't producer jobs. They're basically just a cost in the cog machine. And so even the numbers that were legitimate even after the revisions, a lot of those weren't actually new productivity. It was things around healthcare, which is even more of a bear case, I guess, if you want to talk about it from an employment standpoint in the economy.
Yeah, and government jobs, like local, not federal, but local governments were hiring as well. So yeah, 100%, man. And then they're talking about like the amount of jobs added. It's like, well, you have so many people right now that can't find full-time work that are working multiple part-time jobs. Yeah. Like the gig economy, the Uber and Lyft jobs have been holding up the job market for so long. Yeah. And that's the one thing no one's talking about that I brought up several times on my streams. It's like the robo taxis are going to decimate the gig economy, dude. It's going to fuck our job market so much. And we might be a year or two out, but dude, that is the one difference between now and 2008 is that you can download an app and find, these side gigs to bring in money. If we didn't have those right now, we would be in my opinion, a deep recession. Mm-hmm. And so that has been propping things up. But yeah, the Uber and Lyft jobs, man, like we are not, far off from where these robo taxis, autonomous vehicles are going to be taking a lot of those jobs. Yeah. And that's kind of scary to think about. And then you put AI on top of that, which is going to start replacing some jobs too. It could get ugly in the next few years.
I mean, you know what's crazy? You're talking about it could get ugly. I feel like it's been ugly. It's been very, very difficult for a long time. Like, I'm reading through what Simon's saying, and multiple highly qualified acquaintances have been out of a job for 6+ months, different places. I got laid off from my day job. I had over 300 positions. Man, I'm telling you, like, bro, like before I landed a job here, I was I have a degree as a software engineer. I have experience working at a Fortune 20 company, sold over $3 million of product, like all these successful metrics. Like on a resume, you might read and say, oh shit, like this guy's something, I'm not, not trying to toot my horn, but like something, right? Man, 400 plus applications, very specific applications that I would send. I'm not like sending some general thing. And I got denied over 400 times.
Yeah.
That'll take a huge hit to your confidence. That's if someone's a fucking software engineer. I worked very hard for that degree, and I have proven experience in the field, both as an engineer and as a salesman, man. Like, and could not find work for a year straight. So
because you didn't show him the MOG. You didn't MOG for him. Yeah.
Your problem was you're supposed to be applying for radio, like MC jobs, because you've got the best radio voice and skills in the industry. Like, you should not have been trying to become a software engineer. You
second best,
$10 million a year
Come on.
is the radio spokesperson on 92.5 or whatever channel is in your local
Good
area.
morning, ladies and gentlemen.
You're listening to 92.5.
You're the mix. Yeah.
But I mean, so all of us to say that this is since 2024, like the beginning of like mid 2024 to now, we've been seeing the worst job market conditions. Like, I mean, again, I guess like I'm a professional now or whatever, but maybe 10 years ago I was too young to really know. But just by comparison to 5 years prior to today and where we are right now, which by the way, 5 years prior was COVID time. And even that was also insane. Like people were getting hired even in the midst of the pandemic, massive hirings. So
yeah. I was watching one of, I don't know if you guys know Heresy Financial on YouTube.
Guys, I'm gonna fill up real quick. Sorry.
Go for it, dude. His name's Joe Brown, I think. Anyways, he's got a really good YouTube channel, and he like kind of gives his thoughts on economics and what's going on, current events, and everything. And he's fairly certain that we're going to be entering a new phase of the debt cycle that's going to look very similar to the 1950s, 1940s, where we had high inflation and high interest rates, like rising interest rates with rising inflation. And it's going to be a very new time for us. Like, it's a very, very different market.
Like the book I read was talking about we're going to have like a big run on commodities in that time period.
Yeah.
Like, get your copper, your silver, get your gold,
get your Bitcoin.
I think, that my hope is that we don't see things like completely collapse this year. And that we still have because I think things are setting up, in my opinion, for us to have like a pretty crazy run in Q4 for a lot of crypto assets. The catalysts are there, but if the macro implodes, like that could really ruin the party, man. And like I'm hoping it holds off for a bit, but we'll see.
Buy some shares in Smith & Wesson and Ruger, Lockheed Martin,
So I think companies are betting on AI too much. Yeah, of course they are. There is a report that MIT came out with this week that of the capital that's being invested into AI and AGI, like 95% had zero impact on P&L for these companies. So I think it is a bubble. For sure. I think that it is also one of the most important phenomena that we've seen since the emergence of the internet, like crypto and AI. But yeah, man, it's definitely a bubble. I think a vast majority of these AI companies are going to fail. But it's still going to make a huge difference in our lives. And I think the companies that emerge are going to be cornerstones of our economy in the future.
Agreed. Tyler,
by the way, just to circle back real quick on what Bob was talking about in terms of healthcare jobs or real jobs too. They 100% are, but they're not directly net producer jobs for the majority of the functions that they serve, which is why in terms of using that as the lion's share of jobs numbers, it's a misleading metric. I don't know if Brad, you want to add any color to that. But.
No, it's true. I mean, it's just, when we're looking at private sector, like, because Trump's big plan, right, is like, hey, shrink the government jobs, build up the private sector, bring back manufacturing where we can. And right now, like, we're not seeing the private sector grow. And that's yet. I mean, it's still early, but that's what Bill Clinton did too, man. I mean, Bill Clinton cut a shit ton of government jobs He got rid of the red tape. He deregulated. He built up the private sector, and he was the last president to have a surplus.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump's trying to do. But we'll see if it happens, man. We'll see if it happens.
Monica loved when I did that.
I don't think it's possible to have a budget surplus anymore because our interest payments are too freaking high. I don't even care if we drop rates, dude. Like, our debt is so far gone at this point. Like, yeah, I think William's right. I think we're going to get into a place where it's like we're going to have high inflation because we're going to have to keep, trying to print our way out of it, and we're going to have to continue raising rates to fight inflation. I mean,
yeah.
Like, look at what's happening in Japan right now. Japan has their Bank of Japan just prints money to buy up their own debt to keep rates low.
Yeah.
It's like that shit's not sustainable. Like, that's crazy.
They have 100-year mortgages over in Japan. They have 100-year mortgages.
It's absolutely nuts.
And passed on to your kids.
The Bank of Japan's intervened 30 times since late July, and their 30-year is still hitting new all-time highs. Like, Japan is so screwed.
Quez, what did you say?
He said nothing, but I know Joe, and I know what he means by his comment.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh yeah.
Wait, more jokes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love the picture of Bill Clinton at his desk, and it's like only people that are born in the 80s and 90s know there are two people in this picture.
Yeah. Printing money never works, just makes the fall worse. Yeah, I mean, it's
I just got your joke, Brad. Oh my god, that's so funny, dude. My brain's so slow right now. Oh my god, I was like, wait, what? What do you mean?
I think it's the most dangerous thing in the world right now for the United States. Not just in the U.S. Anybody who looks at the dollar as this asset that they have to hold because their own country's currency isn't worth anything. We are $36 trillion in debt, man.
I think 37 now, right? Aren't we 37?
37.
We'll be 38 by the end of the stream.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And I just feel like the fact that with money, as we conceptualize it today, has to be toyed around with and manipulated, and you have to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then that may have a certain effect, but you also have to play around with. It just seems like money shouldn't be so complex, I don't know. I just feel like this is not financial advice, but damn it, if you care about the value that you've worked over your life, I would heavily consider porting over to Bitcoin. No one could take it from you. Not no government. They can't whittle you away into nothingness.
Self-custody it though, man.
100%
for real, because there was a time where the U.S. confiscated everyone's gold, which is crazy. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but they forced people to turn in their gold, and then they fined them and threatened them with jail time if they didn't turn in their gold.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. So as Bitcoin gets more and more valuable, who knows, man? But just self custody of that shit. Don't
I would tell them I don't know anything about it. Never heard of it in my life.
Boating accident, bro. That's
never met her.
All my guns, all my gold,
all my
Bitcoin.
gun, my ammo, my gold.
I lost it all in a tragic boating accident recently. Sorry, I don't have it anymore.
Survived is a miracle, So
You know what's funny, Will, is there's a guy that was in Florida, and he actually tried to use that. He had done some illicit. It wasn't really a Ponzi scheme, but it was some illicit business that he had over $1 billion, I want to say, at one point, in just general crypto holdings. And he faked that he lost it all in a car or in a boating accident, and his house caught on fire. There's an interesting documentary on it that I watched, but you wouldn't be the first person in Florida to go to take that.
Did it work though? Did it work for him?
It worked until he got away with it for 7 years, and then I'm gonna butcher the story a little bit, but basically he got drunk or fucked up and tried to pull money out or impress some girl or do something, and they were tracking one of the wallets, and so then the house of cards collapsed.
That's the problem, right? It's when they find out the wallet ID, you can't do anything with it anymore. There's no once there's any funds moved from that wallet, then they know.
You send it to Tornado Cash, bro.
Yeah, Tornado Cash. Let's go.
There was I saw that the Department of Justice, so they're not going to go after developers who don't have wrongful intent. I think that was the verbiage that they use.
I think that makes sense, man. That's absolutely crazy. Okay, it depends on what your platform is built for, but how can you be held responsible in real time for building
Privacy.
a platform that someone uses for nefarious activities if that's not like the intent behind building it? Like that to me is crazy.
With that logic, you can go after gun manufacturers for people using guns to kill people.
I mean, well, even in the 90s, there was a lot of contention around cryptography being used for various things. Like the EU had a different standard. Like my dad built some of the early VPN technology and building a lot of like the security protocols that are used today. And so there was a time when they couldn't export certain software that had been, or hardware that was using software that had certain cryptography standards to the EU. And so like Adam Back, who's an OG cypherpunk, they would send t-shirts that had like pieces of keys that you could buy the shirts to then construct to be able to use. Like they had to get through all these crazy loopholes. And so, you go back to the gold example of them confiscating gold. They've done the same thing with other forms of privacy tech. They've threatened it to some degree with Bitcoin. I mean, that's frankly the reason why Satoshi kind of ran off, or at least that's the thought process. Is as soon as the I think Gavin Anderson said he was going to go talk to the CIA or FBI, NSA, one of the big three name agencies. Satoshi just checked out.
You mean Adam Back? Just kidding.
Adam Back, but
Adam Back.
I mean, like at the end of the day, there's these things are a real threat, even though we've gotten to the point of where we've got some government clarity around a lot of this stuff. But at the end of the day, a new administration can come in and say, we're like, if Elizabeth Warren got elected president, I promise you they're coming for you.
Sorry.
I don't think she would.
That's like an automatic reflex.
You just made me like cringe for a second there. I was like, oh,
terrible.
I got shivers. I'm like,
it's just crazy when you go back and look through history, how some of these things have been. Crypto and trade regulations is still a thing. Just a little bit now in most NATO countries. Yeah. Anyway, tangent, but self-custody, baby. That's
self-custody, and nothing's more important than that. There's only one other thing that's more important than self-custody, and that's our sponsors for this show, Deep Network. So I'm going to share my screen here, guys. If you haven't seen before, look at Tyler's shirt. I love that shirt. The shirt I got from them actually is really large, so I use it as like a pajama shirt
or a pump cover.
What's up?
I was saying or a pump cover for when you're at the gym.
Pump cover. I love that. But yes, if you go to their website, deep.network, that's 3 E's there. You can go here and get their DIN software license NFT. You click that buy now button. You can go ahead and purchase one there. There's different tiers, of course, and limited supply. So the DIN software license NFT acts as your reservation as well as your node license. So you will need one of these to end up purchasing one of their hardware nodes, but also it reserves your spot to have the ability to purchase one. So definitely check them out. We love working with them. We love that they sponsored our show. We're all running devices, I'm fairly certain. I think, Brad, do you have one now or no?
What's that?
Do you have a Deep Network device yet?
I do.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
All right, so definitely check them out. We're all running the nodes. Super easy, literally plug and play. It is freaking incredible. Love working with them. Anyways, wanted to do that quick plug. Really thankful they're sponsoring our show.
Hell yeah. Man, it's already been an hour and 10 minutes. That's crazy. It feels like time's flying by, guys.
Time flies by when you're talking about the end of the world, right?
Man.
In more optimistic news, you can take ownership before the end of the world happens to come, and that's by being a DePIN deployer. I actually noticed that our title today is the deployment special. I don't know if that was an accident or not. But
I was gonna say,
it's from the last title. I meant to change it. I messed up, guys. Thanks for putting me on blast there. Yeah, Jay Soto has a Deep Network device too. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
It is what we mean, right? Take part in owning the infrastructure that powers the world. Don't depend on some of the incumbents that have been around today. We don't hate the incumbents, but you have a piece of the pie as well.
Yes,
and have some ownership. We're talking about self-custody as well. It's very much the same game. I was reading some action on the TL about how DePIN is probably going to be the one. I forget exactly who it was that it said, but that DePIN will be the breakout industry sector, whatever, of crypto that makes its way towards the traditional masses or whatever. I know we're all bullish here, but You know, how does it feel when you guys read something like that? Is it kind of like, oh,
was it my live stream? Was it my live stream?
It wasn't my live stream. No, I guess. Sorry to cut you off, Brad, but I will say, I think it makes me. I agree with it. Like, I'm very hopeful. Of course, I see something like that and say, okay, well, yeah, I think it's an inevitability, because I've kind of toted this idea of until I see, DePIN deployment businesses being advertised like drop shipping businesses were. Like, I just think that we're not there yet. Like, once we get there, I'll know that we've penetrated a lot of those audiences. Just because I think it is a like just using Helium again, or even X now, or both. Like, if you start a Helium mobile hotspot deployment business, you can ROI pretty fast, especially if you have the connections and you start selling the idea of installing these things, and you get successful hosts and everything. So I feel like it's a no brainer. And I feel like once more people catch on to the idea or are more aware of it, we'll get to that moment where they're complete market penetration there. Brad sharing his screen. I'm going to go ahead and share that.
You heard it here first. William said he wants to penetrate his audience. All right, so
hey man, my wife's gone, so
DePIN.
We'll bring Joe on just for that.
DePIN surge terms.
We'll be back after these messages.
Check this out, though. I think this is really, really interesting. So we've seen both for decentralized physical infrastructures and DePIN. So we're seeing new all-time highs set for both on Google search trends. But looking back at like DePIN, for example, look at the timing of this. It was like beginning of March. If you guys remember, like DePIN specifically peaked out like 3 weeks later. This is March of 2024. So towards the end of March is when we saw. So this was like a leading indicator 3 weeks ahead. Saw the same thing after the Trump pump. This was leading up to really in December. So we saw that big push up there in December as well for DePIN. And we're seeing right now all-time highs. So it has been retracing with the downturn this last week. But if history holds true, in a few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we should see some DePIN projects pump. And again, same thing on this search term, decentralized physical infrastructure network. But we saw a similar cadence here where leading up to the big pump towards the end of last year, now we're seeing a massive move up here, new all-time high. This is global search trends for DePIN and decentralized physical infrastructure networks. So I don't know, man.
And what's that y-axis? Like the number of searches?
Yeah, I think it's per day.
Per day. Got it. Okay.
It's got to be. I'm not. I'm not really sure actually, because there's no way.
It's like a 5-day thing. It depends on how zoomed in or out it is. Basically, if you were in before, what is that time frame? 2024, you're an OG.
Let's go.
I barely made the cut.
I cared about this shit before it was cool.
Man, look at Nigeria down there.
Yo, shout out to Nigeria,
no, DePIN's big in Nigeria, dude. DePIN's really big in Nigeria.
Huge. A lot of folks. A lot of folks out there are using it as an opportunity. Like kind of the whole airdrop farmer meta, but shifted over to DePIN, right? Like running free apps, like the folks that are running Hive Mapper on their phone or Intex or 275 Go, or there's a ton. I always talk about it. It's like if you could look into some of these applications that are not going to add any additional resistance to your life, and that resistance, friction, whatever, and capture some of the upside for doing so, why not?
I think we'll see DePIN thrive in America, but like speaking to Nigeria and like a lot of these underdeveloped countries, I feel like that's where DePIN's going to really blow up. It'll help effectively, not level the playing field, but help kind of reinvigorate the people and add much needed infrastructure in those areas that have just been deprived for so long.
If it gets monetized, I think there's a slight caveat.
That's the caveat. I was going to mention that caveat, but thank you.
I agree. I think for the developing countries, like it's going to help bring investment from developed countries in. Like we're seeing that with DABA, man. Like it's going to be a whole, like, because right now, like if you wanted to invest in like infrastructure in India, like how would you do that? But like with blockchain and DePIN now, like anybody can just go to a website and easily invest, man. Like I think we're going to see more and more of that in a lot of these developing markets. So For
And
sure.
now you can invest in Weather XM too, like with Daba Network, like you with that synergy there. So now you have like this like kind of network effect, if you will, or branching out effect, where like now these other DePINs can operate on top of Daba Network, and they can like partner up and like deploy multiple devices for you, not just one device, which is awesome.
Hell yeah. I know
Hell
we
yeah.
have some Daba haters. Some of my YouTube subscribers are they think
Am I drunk? No, I'm just very tired. I should be drunk though. I wish I was. I won't be drunk until next week.
Let me get this right. Joe is hating on a DePIN project?
No
Who
way.
has seen this coming?
You know, Joe used to
I love you. I do.
Joe used to have a YouTube channel. I think he had like 7,000 subscribers. He got a lot of notoriety when he basically hated on helium last market cycle.
Damn.
What was his reasoning for hating on helium?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, I mean, and frankly, it was, I think, to an extent warranted at the time because it got up to like a $4 billion market cap, and their revenue is like maybe $7,000 a month. Seriously,
how much of that came from the hotspots
that was speculation. Yeah.
So there's literally no revenue, and so he called it out, man. He saw it, and I think it was actually to an extent valid, but
Daba's
you know,
bullshit.
yeah, I'm telling you, like, yeah, he doesn't believe in that. There are a lot of people that are like, hey, if I can't deploy it myself, like I don't trust that people in another country are deploying stuff for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I feel that. That's just like I don't know. That's a very I don't know. I don't know what kind of mentality or lifestyle you live if you're thinking that, but I mean, it is a risk. I mean, it's definitely there. Like, I can't say it's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. But I just say, like, if we do have this fourth quarter surge, and you see like the attention that DePIN's getting right now, so obviously we had Hide Mapper, Render, and Helium on NASDAQ talks like a week ago.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Also, I think it was Forbes or Fortune came out with an article yesterday talking about being a deployer.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I covered it on the stream, I think, yesterday. So that was out, and then there's another major media outlet that covered it. And then you think about like some of the most promising projects, in my opinion. You got 375 AI there. I like Daba. You've got Exhibits, even like Wingbits. Like none of them have had their token launchers yet, and they're all expected in Q4. So like we could have this huge wave potentially in Q4. Things are aligning that way, and then have these like really promising projects all launch in Q4. Like I think things could get pretty fun if the macro continues to cooperate, man. That's always the question right now.
Assuming there's no war.
It's a little sketchy, but yeah.
Was it the 5 passive ideas that really work? 5 passive income ideas for DePIN? Is that the Forbes article? That? Yeah, I pulled it up just now.
Yeah, I actually reached out to the author and I was like, "Hey, like, would love to talk to you because she covers Silencio."
Yeah, I'm using Silencio device.
Trying to think. She covered
XYO,
Havelo. So like, there's a couple in there that I hadn't heard of this. So it's like, as I reached out, I was like, "Hey, do you want to learn more about some of these other DePIN projects?"
She's got FarmSense. She's got FarmSense on there. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's interesting.
To be honest with you, FarmSense is one that doesn't really.
I've never covered it.
Yeah,
I've spoken with Yogg before, and like the idea.
I have too. It doesn't.
It
doesn't really jive with me.
Yeah, it's. I don't even know. I think their marketplace is live, if I'm not mistaken. I just haven't covered them in a while.
I just don't think it's a DePIN. I think it's a stretch to call that a DePIN. And
yeah,
frankly,
I agree.
Really, like, yeah, I think it's a.
So the way he describes it, the way he describes it is like there will be like DePIN involved in the project, so like with the devices and everything eventually. But I just don't know when or if that's even happening. So I just need to do research on him again. I need to talk to him.
I don't know, man. I feel like if you're gonna make it in this, you've got to be committed to it. It can't just be like, hey, we're a Web2 company. We kind of just want to do the DePIN thing to get some people, on the side. Like, all right, cool. Well, I'm just probably just not going to cover your project then.
Yeah, it's 0 or 100. Like you're you're in it or you're not.
Yeah, and you have to commit to it. It's like, and you have to deal, like, you get the positives of it, right? Where you can scale, you can get participation, but like you also, there's a lot of negatives that come with this, man. You have a lot of people that are literally just want to like have ROI and are constantly bashing your project. You know, we have one right now in the audience, like they just they go to Discord and just like bashing projects. Like, yeah, man, like you deal with a lot of haters if you're a founder of any of these projects, because like you can
Haters gonna hate, man.
Yeah, but you can be doing a great job and executing, but like when the market's down, your token price is down, like
you're getting slammed.
you're gonna get slammed by the whole community, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Correct.
Speaking of, you mentioned Havelo earlier, Brad. I wanted to touch on the fact they just did their second. They're doing their second airdrop right now. They did a snapshot today or yesterday, and I'm really liking this system they're doing because it's just super seamless. It's very automated. Like, I don't have to like go claim anything. Like, it's just all just automatically deposited, and I can just go stake it if I want to. Bada bing, bada boom. All proprietary. It's really nice.
I like Havelo, man. I think it's a good project. I think people in this space, especially the builders, need to realize like, hey, most people don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I mean, even I forget what project we had on the space. He's like, it's super easy to participate. And he like highlighted like a 20-step process. And I'm like, bro, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro,
you
like,
just download this wallet and then you make this account and then you plug your email into this and then you have to verify and then sign these transactions.
But he's like talking about super technical stuff on the back end. I'm like, if you want to get like mass participation, that's just not going to fly, man. Like Havelo is making it super easy for people that can just like download their app and be like, oh yeah, I can earn this token.
Yeah.
Like,
that's awesome.
I know that's one of the things that like Nick and I have had healthy debates around, is that the threshold for it's difficult when you're either an engineer or you participate in this stuff all the time. You sort of discount the fact that knowledge is generally few and far between. And so as you're talking about trying to onboard people into these, or like onboarding the masses into these different applications, the ease of use and then sort of the trade-off in terms of their revenue split as a result of that, in my opinion, is really healthy for the long tail of people that are going to need to become a part of this. But
yeah. Joe said he loves making $2 a week with his B.
Joe, it's $2 more than you were making before.
Joe, I don't know if you've been driving since the new MIPS went into place, but a lot of people I'm talking to, man, are making 1 to 1.5 honey per kilometer right now after those changes went into effect. So, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 honey a week, and obviously prices across the board are down right now, but if we see the market rebound, that can change pretty quickly. So,
and also I'd argue that that's more money than you're making driving before, right? Like, I don't know. That's the way I look at it. Is like, if I'm already doing an action that I was going to do before, and I just add this device in the car, like, why wouldn't I do said thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yo,
I think the demon community would be somewhat sophisticated and semi-savvy at tech, but the community is mostly comprised of gambling.
I mean, it's kind of true, but like most people are not that tech savvy. Like,
yeah,
they can figure shit out. They can open up ports, on their router, but like, they're not going to be like tech savvy to be able to like go on the back end and like program a bunch of shit. It just is not realistic.
Most folks don't even know what they're doing. They're following a guide.
I'm one of those people. I never know what I'm doing.
But
I would love to answer this guy's question here.
Thoughts on the helium grant.
Is that Jim? Yeah, Jim. So I took my glasses off.
I am going to make another drink.
I'm so jealous of all of you.
Thoughts on the helium grant? I think it's great for sort of incentivizing additional participation. I haven't seen anybody actually receive the grant. I also don't know anybody that's applied for the grant. So,
what is the grant for? 50 million in grants to deploy helium coverage?
Yes.
I think the intent is to try to incentivize doing their Coverage Plus program for people converting hotspots.
Yeah.
But there was a press release. They had like more documentation than they had the website. And in the press release and some of the documentation, it wasn't just for deployer specific. It was sort of the network or sort of the services around that. So like Nick and I had built this tool to kind of match or to like help with some of the lead generation for doing your deployers. And I was like, maybe this is something we could turn over. They could give a grant that someone could build. We never deployed it publicly, but it was just something that we built as kind of like a mental exercise based on our own deployment strategy. So I think it's great that there's going to be incentives for people to do and develop things that'll kind of help push the deployment industry forward, but they're being too political and not streamlined enough. Okay, well, there you go. There's a firsthand experience.
First-hand witness.
What it is.
I was going to say, I think one of the things that Helium needs to add to their strategy is kind of like a bundle, you know? So like if you're going to buy into the service, then you should like at some price point, you should also get like a hotspot included. Therefore, you can become a participant of the network, not just a consumer of it. I don't know, like a part of me feels like dedicating 50 million towards that, towards like your consumers buying or making use of your service and then giving them hardware that they could deploy in their area, or you know, maybe they do have like friends in commercial real estate areas. I don't know, right? I'm just thinking about where they might be able to kind of give people more ownership in the network that they're participating. I don't know. That was just something I thought about.
By the way, Jim said I applied and was quoted 50% rebate to deploy 100 units. So I have my natural tendency when I approach something for the first time is to have, I don't want to call it like a hater mentality, but I always come into things thinking they're not as good as what they are.
Healthy skepticism.
So when I first saw that, it was kind of like companies that want to put out a bunch of job openings that they're not actually hiring for to make it appear like they're doing really well. And so my first inclination was that was what this was, maybe to a lesser degree, because I'm sure that they could fund that if they chose to, but there were probably going to be quite a few strings attached. So hearing that doesn't necessarily surprise me by any stretch of the imagination, but doesn't serve any purpose to deploy homes and hotspots. Yeah, I mean
that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I get that. Yo, Skrelly's in the chat. What's up, dog? Good to see you. Yeah, that guy's a fucking chat if you guys haven't met him before. No, agreed. I think they have a very, I don't want to call it a unique problem. It's just one of those things of like, you know, you're the only way you're going to make the network any stronger is by getting into locations where that service is going to be provided, like, or rather is really needed. So like, yeah, getting the hotspots into a home isn't really being beneficial. I don't know. I'm just thinking about the part where they subsidize the hotspot such that there could be, you know, people could take the work on themselves of deploying that hotspot in those necessary locations. I don't know. Just thinking, maybe I'm too communist right now. Forgive me. I failed you. I shared this in the chat. I'm curious if you guys got a chance to see this earlier.
That was the South by Southwest.
The South by Southwest thing where Demo, Coinbase, and Helium were like kind of up for grabs about who's going to be the speaker. And I just, again, I'm sorry if I sound like a hater. I didn't understand why Demo is being considered there. Decentralized by design, everyday tech with users in control. It's like, no, the users are not in control. The users did not like your recent updates.
Yeah. No, exactly. Real quick though, before we get into that, Simeon saying why they should have spent the money on marketing. Why send any hardware that can onboard their existing? I think Simeon, and from my point of view, I think this is a kind of a smart move to a degree, because if you can get more commercial traffic, if you can like scale your network upwards and get more nodes online that are in meaningful spots, then you can utilize that in your marketing. Like I feel like later on, especially if you have a lot more traffic and you have, you know, obviously larger numbers there. I'm seeing LOL communist.
Yeah, no, he gets it. He's anti-commie. I respect.
I just saw Brad giggle, and I was like, I have to look at the chat now. Those are my thoughts.
Helium's about to explode, dude. They sent $12,000 to Mr. Beast.
Hey, that was $11,000. They sent $11,000, Brad.
Oh man, what a fucking waste. Anyway, so
Helium Mobile. Thank you, Helium Mobile.
Christ, man.
And I think a bunch of other crypto projects sent him money too, right? They all got shouted out by Mr. Beast.
Shouted out. they got shouted out. I don't know,
he
man.
just said their name. He was just like, "Oh,
Generous.
thank you for the donation."
Yo, Simeon's
Probably.
talking about we tried free units, but these deployers aren't doing things serious, or maybe like most deployers. Yo, hey, just got my Tashi node running.
Let's go, Bob.
Shout out to Bob, man. He's a fucking animal.
He's a trooper.
Yeah,
dude.
but I agree. It's like, let me tell you something. Like after talking with a lot of deployers, and I don't just mean like folks who have been doing the helium thing or XNet or whatever. It's like the skill set to make a actual good deployment, like optimized, standardized even, is so hard. Like I don't know, 90% of deployers are maybe good-ish. I don't know. And then like there's like a 10% that like really take this shit seriously. I'm thinking about the guys like Long5 Solutions. I'm thinking about the guys that, what's this other one escaping me right now?
I think what Simeon's bringing up though is he does hit the nail on the head to the extent that like, and I know because of what Wi-Fi is doing. At the end of the day, there are already Wi-Fi hotspots in a lot of the high traffic areas where you would ideally want to set something up, and therefore it sort of negates the point for you setting something up if you can do the conversion. And I think there's a lot of truth in that in terms of places like malls and places like airports or whatever, that they're getting these
Gyms.
locations.
The grant applies to those the brownfield though too. It's greenfield
Those are all
and
brownfield
brownfield
conversions.
Did you
no,
see
the grant is for brownfield and greenfield though. It's for both.
No. But his point was specifically that he said we've already proven that hardware doesn't get you locations. Conversion of existing hardware does, and I think the lion's share of valuable locations are in more times than not going to be the brownfield conversions of malls and these other places where they already have like enterprise grade systems, professionally deployed, set up. The equipment's already there. It's just provisioning it to be able to do the Wi-Fi offload piece that is the missing piece of the equation.
Yeah.
For sure. You guys see that gym that's just like printing?
The LA Fitness, yeah.
It's nuts.
The gym in my town too, next to so I deployed a hotspot in a sushi restaurant. There's a gym right next to it, and I was like literally going to go talk to them probably the day after I did that deployment, and I guess a brownfield conversion happened on those units. I'm not sure if the ISP is the one who did it, or if their provider, their corporate internet provider did that. But yeah, they turned on those units and they're cooking now. They're doing so well, and I'm just so sad. Yeah.
All right. So Will's gonna send the invite link to Joe and Skrelly.
Yeah, bring Skrelly on, bro.
Brad needs another
fucking animal.
Or maybe Brad has to do it because Brad actually knows what they're
at their hand. Well, where to send it to them, or
I've got Joe's number.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, you got to keep it somewhat PG. Maybe PG-13, somewhat PG.
Yeah, please don't get me banned.
Don't get us banned. Yeah, we have 10 balls. Yeah, I mean, look, as soon as I realized the Wi-Fi way and all the brownfield conversions of what you can do, that to me was like, that's the big unlock. And obviously you're seeing it in the numbers, right? Like that's where the traffic's coming from. That's where the value in a lot of respects are coming from. I think that is, if you want to go make a lot of money in this deployer world, or I'll use the word deployer very loosely, I think the conversions are the way to go. But
brownfield conversions. For the audience who doesn't know what a brownfield conversion is, what does that mean?
Go ahead, Will. I'll explain it if you don't want to do it.
So brownfield conversions, essentially, it just means you're converting existing hardware onto the Helium network. That's I'll just put it as simply as possible. Greenfield is new hardware devices that you're installing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and specifically, it's not necessarily just for the Helium network. It's just converting them, generally speaking. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready for Joe to.
Joe to come shake my shit up.
I sent him the link.
It's like, you guys are gonna regret this. Like,
we're gonna end the stream.
We bring him on. And
well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in.
Actually, Joe, the first time I was ever on a live stream, Joe brought me on. So
he's what got you into this.
Yeah, so I
Maybe
started my YouTube channel, and then we like connected because he also lives in Illinois, just outside like this Chicago like city limits, and I've met Joe in person actually.
Nice.
How was that?
It was fun, man. We had a good time.
I bet it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good
Yo,
time.
Be prepared to be entertained.
Yo, shout out to Simeon who's talking. There's a reason why XNet and Helium and Longfire are copying us. Just saying, he's talking about screw hardware installs. Simeon, do you think it's better than like from the business perspective to be the one that's going out and acquiring deals?
There he is.
Oh,
Moving critic. I love it. What's up, Joe?
My audio okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Audio's good,
You're
bro.
all right.
What's up,
You
man?
guys act like I'm the biggest hater of all things deep.
I mean,
in
kinda.
all time.
No, I don't think you are.
Kinda.
You're just the biggest Will hater of all time. That's
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Sorry, Will.
It's all right. I'm easy to make
I
fun of,
had a
apparently.
couple
Thanks.
drinks that night. Just felt like it was,
Put
right
him back,
at
buddy.
the moment. I'm a former fat guy.
Put him back.
Since I've been off YouTube, I've been working out like crazy, man.
Man,
Joe.
I saw the biceps.
Dude, put those guns away. We're gonna
Damn.
get banned,
Yeah.
dude. Put those guns away.
So,
Oh,
anyways, I don't think my criticism is unwarranted. I know Brad likes to, have the what would you call it? Just a little bit of exaggeration there, but come on.
I didn't say. I said I thought your helium criticism the first time around was warranted
you.
because they're overvalued. I said that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my gripes were about the infrastructure choices that they make, and I always thought CBRS was like a joke. But yeah, I've helped Helium a lot these past couple months too. They got about 100 hours of free work out of me
Why do you say that?
Wow.
because I was trying to write documentation. I asked them for a grant, and they would have given me the grant, but I was working on documentation for their brownfield deployments for Cisco 9800 controllers and Meraki, some of the stuff I work with daily. And the sticking point was using RadSec. Like every vendor has a different implementation of RadSec, and the whole certificate chain and PKI and all that. So not really feasible for the way they needed it. And I spent hours, trying different methods, then sending them emails about how it's not going to work. And eventually they realized, yeah, Joe's right. And they started their own RadSec proxy, and now it's in the documentation.
Look at Joe.
Then I'm like, I just totally lost interest in doing any of the guides. So yeah, I never
You're moving
really
things
got
forward,
them
Joe.
out.
For better or for worse, you didn't want to. By the way, BitcoinTruth.Bitcoin, and I know who that is. You got to relate, but I won't dox it. Proof of basement, maybe the best quote we've gotten all night from the hardware deployment side.
Proof of basement.
There's
Joe,
a lot of people that
Joe started working out. Joe, you started working out. You started dedicating time to helium. You're just like a man of the people now.
Yeah.
Man. What happened? Look at that. Look at this guy.
Damn.
Look at this guy.
I got so frustrated. You're right, Brad. I've gotten a little hot about some of these projects and maybe gotten a little too personal and gave them some serious digs. But Jesus, like now that I don't think about this stuff constantly and think I got to create content and I have to do what's right for the community and read all the improvement proposals and follow all the community drama, it's just like my life is much more peaceful. This deep in space frustrates me to no end when you see how sleazy and slimy and just blatantly incompetent too many of the top projects are.
There are some, that's for sure.
I'm curious. Would you say that there's any projects that are doing well in your eyes, like as you kind of look at the DePIN ecosystem?
Like GeoNet, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep, I think they're certainly onto something. I posted my criticisms up earlier, like in the chat, and it just basically comes down to unless you got some enterprise connection and connectivity, your network's built out that way. It's kind of hard to be a validator or something that is, I don't know, not just a typical mining project that everyone has access to, right? Because I'm seeing them have all these multi-mining projects shoehorned in, and it's like everyone's doing that. You know, Crank did it. Then you have Dabba doing that with their $1,200 node, and now it's Deep, and it's, well, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Deep's good. Rover, we'll see how they pan out. My earnings have significantly dropped with them. You know, and just my whole criticism of Hive Mapper, it's you can't convince me otherwise. Like, you can't sit there with a straight face and tell me that Ariel doesn't have this, like, inside his soul, it just burns him that he has to resort to using crypto and blockchain for his venture startup to come to fruition. Come on. The guy has, like, this deep-seated, like, self-loathing over it. And you can tell it by the way he speaks. Like, you know, come on.
I'll just say, recently, he has he's changed his tune a little bit towards crypto. I don't know if you noticed. Like, I think when the price skyrocketed to like 34 cents per honey after the Coinbase listing, they had like a backlog of like orders for 2 years. I think he was like, we don't really.
Yeah, I got screwed on that too, because the majority of my referrals were at the tail end of that. So all my audience, only about a fifth of those were filled that I sold. So like a bunch of my audience is like, oh, I got a forced upgrade or forced cancellation. And, you know, I felt like the asshole because of that. It's like, yeah, you know.
I did have that experience. I like showed it to my brother-in-law he got a couple helium miners and said, I was like, oh, I want to do more of this. And so the next one I said, yeah, you should get a Hive Mapper. And then every month it was, when is my Hive Mapper coming?
Yeah. One of the dumbest things I ever did as a YouTuber, and Brad remembers this, my video that trolled Ariel, like, because
you ruined it for everybody.
$100 an hour, literally mapping with the correct strategy. You can make $100 an hour mapping.
You literally ruined it for everybody.
Roads, they were kind of country roads, like out by the cornfield, so you could do, 60 miles per hour down it and still get the maximum output when you're in a large region like Chicago. So I was in the perfect place. I made a video, and that sent him fucking through the roof.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, they nerfed the hell out of the boards.
Yeah. That was probably your fault, because I think he went to Gabe. He's like. Fix this. Like, send him your tweet. Send him your tweet.
I even did that thing in the fucking video title. I'm like, I quit my job to map full time.
I know.
Just because I knew it'd drive him crazy, and I screwed myself because I was making so much money off mapping with Hive Mapper those weeks.
See, that was in the period where he was like passive versus active mapping. He was like obsessing over it, and then you trolled him so hard on that, and then I think he sent it to Gabe, and they're like, well, now we're just going to cut rewards 80%. Yeah. Like, thanks, Joe. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Joe.
You really made your point, like.
Yeah.
I felt like a dick too.
Yeah.
But that was funny. Bro, this is why I had to stop being a YouTuber, is because I did stuff like that. I told you about how like I made the whole helium community hate me all at once.
What did you do? I don't think
you know what? DePIN's been less stressful after you left. I gotta be honest. I'm stressed again, man. I forgot about all this.
Trying to do. So, anyways, long story short, remember the HIP 51 where it divided into the sub tokens? So what I did, like, I read through it, but I kind of half-assed the video out there. I'm like, what's this? This makes no sense. Long story short, Vosk had like a rage video. 25 minutes of him crapping on helium because of the tokenomics change. And he included a clip from my video in it that was like 20 seconds. And it hit all his audience, just went in and started trolling, like tagging mods, tagging people in the helium Discord who were like Foundation, the Nova team, and just totally trashing them and pasting the link. And there I am. And they all know who I was. So like, this is your fault. Vosk's opinion is because of you. So like, everyone in helium hated me for like.
You got to admit, like, I've been thoroughly entertained over this whole DePIN sector for the last 4 years almost at this point. Like, I know Brad, you get it, Joe, you get it. Like, I mean, when you look back on it and you think this has been a very interesting turn of events over the last few years, how all this stuff has panned out. There's been a lot of money made, probably a lot of money lost, been ups and downs on all these, dramatic changes out the way. But it has been fairly entertaining throughout the process, which is maybe the only silver lining out of like some of these less than stellar retrospect decisions that were made. But
I'm sure like we all get our angle out of this. Like, sorry if I mispronounced your name, is Quez?
Quez, yeah, you got it.
Well, you're a developer, the technical side, and I'm sure you're paying attention to like the architectural aspects of these decentralized networks that are being built out, right? And Brad is probably looking at it from more of a finance standpoint, and he looks at how that plays out. And personally, when I look at it from that angle, in some ways, I'm just like, who the fuck came to this conclusion that this was the way to go? There's plenty of things that have made me say like, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want to bash any particular project.
Well, it's good to ask questions, Joe. It's good to ask
Sorry,
questions.
my audio is probably shit.
I'll say that I don't think GeoNet could exist without DePIN. I don't think they'd have 20,000 base stations deployed across the world right now.
If it wasn't for that paradigm, I agree with that.
Yeah, so there are some projects that are doing a good job. Right now, the prices are really low, so everyone's hating on it, and that's fine. But like for the projects that are executing, I think the fundamentals are stronger than ever. But I think the gig is up now on the protocols that are trying to make money off hardware sales. I think people have figured that shit out.
But Brad, would you agree with this point on GeoNet that it has always pretty much their intent has always been to straight and narrow? Like what they conclude, the decisions they make sense and seem like it's in the best interest of the network.
I think so, and even they caught FUD.
So too.
They even caught FUD at a point in time where but you don't need to cover it. But there was a period where they caught FUD. But I agree with you, man. I think Mike Horton. I think he's made decisions in the best interest of the long term of the project, time and time again. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like to play a little bit of devil's advocate, and I agree. And it was definitely not the right decision when you are in the middle of kind of this like hard network pivot. There are things that maybe at the time seemed logical that really weren't like the best decision, and so to give a bit of a benefit of the doubt, GeoNet hasn't had to go through something like that because they have found product market fit. Now, again, you can make the argument that, like, you should find product market fit before you go out and try to effectively dilute away a shit ton of value on the supply side development. But
didn't get everything right out of the gate. I mean, they launched on Polygon at first, didn't they?
Yeah,
you could make that argument.
Yeah. They're trying to make Solana their main chain now with their recent GIP. So I think it's a good move. I mean, GeoNet's gonna be integrated into the Seeker phone, or it is integrated in the Seeker phone. So I think, I spoke with Mike Horton a couple weeks ago about it, and he's saying like, hey, we're executing. When I first talked to him about this like 2 years ago, he was pretty anti-centralized exchange. He's like, wanted to just be like fully decentralized. But I think he realizes now, like, if you want to have the liquidity, if you want to have the capital investment in your project, like, you have to make it easier for people because the vast majority of the population like has no idea how to use a DEX.
That was one of the things that everyone said about that was like the main criticism is that there wasn't liquidity there in the early days of GeoNet. And so this is something I want to get your guys' thoughts on about basically the same topic. All these DePIN projects realizing they need to go to Solana to have liquidity. The name of the game is having enough liquidity that your deployers can cash out and make money when they need to, and that you also have these resources of, not only venture capitalists in the crypto space to, help with, DEXs or whatever, the whole tokenomics and promotion, but also the developer resources as well. You need people you can ask from the foundation to develop on chain, I believe. And that's what every other chain pretty much kind of lacks, is a liquidity and that just massive community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a necessary evil that a lot of project founders either, like at the time, and like there was a comment from Simeon, Solana wasn't as hype when they launched. I think that is true. We have a couple years of data
For
points now to
sure.
say where the things that do drive the needle for your ability to, swap as a deployer, they are real factors that weren't necessarily overlooked, but like the one chain versus another wasn't as I think impactful in the conversation. And like I remember with back in the day, I remember Rich from XNet was saying, look, Polygon from a technical standpoint, you got the EVM compatibility, you've got the scalability and some of these other things. That is all true, but to some degree, a lot of the action and a lot of the liquidity, a lot of the other things that are necessary evils for this to work is happening on Solana. For the reasons that you said, there's the support, there's the venture capital community that's kind of behind it for all of those other reasons. And so, I mean, it's hard to discount that as a value add, and you're seeing it in real time between, I know like Demo went to base, but obviously like Helium ditching their own L1 to go to Solana. Now GeoNet's doing, like this is becoming a bit of a trend for good reason, because there's data to substantiate the fact that there is real benefits when you do that.
For sure. Yeah, and like
100%.
Even with Hive Mapper in the early stages, Ariel and them were getting destroyed on Discord for choosing Solana, because it was back right after the FTX stuff, right after Sam Bankman-Fried, and everyone was like, "Why would you choose Solana? Solana's dead," and that was not that long ago, man. Like,
Yeah.
But with like GeoNet, Mike Horton basically, I mean, he told me, he's like, "Look, we need more token holders. We need more volume on trading with our token. We need more liquidity, and that's why they're moving to Solana. Because they want centralized exchange listings. But then on Demo on the other end has a totally different stance. Like, I know it's a sore subject for a lot of people, but they're choosing Base because they're looking to integrate with a lot of these institutional companies with RWAs, and they feel like Base is going to be where a lot of the institutional building takes place. So I think.
So will it just be Base and Solana, pretty much? Those would be the two.
I think Avalanche is not enough people are talking about it, but I think they're going to be a player. I think it's going to be interoperability, man. It's not going to be like necessarily one chain.
One chain to rule them all.
I think it's.
Here's my 2 cents on Avalanche. Number one, I think they're massively overrated. I think they're building, like I talk to their team quite frequently, and I wrote this article about DePIN kind of overlooked Avalanche as an option. I think what their strategy has been is we're gonna build enough magnets around these other things like RWAs, tokenizing, the world, all these other L1s, that it will be a lead magnet for DePIN projects to want to come and build on them. They're still in the process of that sort of strategy playing out. We'll see what happens, but I think that's kind of the path that they've paved. And clearly they're getting success in the other areas. It would put them in a position to be able to kind of attract various DePIN projects. And there are some building, obviously Deep's building there, Uplink's another one that's building. There's a handful of others, but yeah, I was like I would never build on Polygon. I don't understand why you would ever want to build on Polygon.
Can I make the case for why you build on Polygon?
Absolutely. Change my mind.
So the projects that I think had very smart founders, GeoNet being one of them. So then XNet, smart enough, they were on Polygon, and then
Demo was too.
ThinkIX was another insanely intelligent developer who he wanted to do like something like Helium on Polygon, and because it just works, like the code is tried and tested since Ethereum had smart contracts, because it's essentially the same code. It's an EVM, and gas fees are low enough.
Yep.
It's not fast. It's not. I don't know. It's not something that is state of the art. It just works.
That's fair. Let me ask you this though: in 2025, going into 2026, do you still feel like Uplink, or not Uplink? Sorry, I was reading Simon's comment. Do you still feel like Polygon would be a good choice, or would you think Base or these other ones make more sense.
I haven't looked at Base close enough. I mean, if they're offering the same code structure, like it's an EVM, then I would assume that it would be an ideal candidate, the same as Polygon. But, going back to that whole, there's not a big Polygon developer community like you would see with ETH or Solana, and there's not as much resources and liquidity, just in general speaking, the community as a whole, when it comes to resources, that's always a failure point. Plus with Polygon, even I believe it was the founders kind of said we're abandoning it. There's no need for it. I'm paraphrasing.
He posted this today about how Latin America is using Polygon a ton, and they have payment projects processing nearly $500 million a month on Polygon. So I think maybe outside of the U.S. it's still getting a lot of usage.
Yeah, it's a perfectly good chain. It's just not anything flashy. Quez, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yeah. So I actually really agree with your sentiment about specifically that some of the smartest people that started building on Polygon, and I actually had the same experience because it's very good. Polygon from a technical standpoint is actually very good, and you can trust it. You know what you're going to get out of it. And I think from a developer standpoint, that is like the thing that you care about the most, that you know how it's going to operate, and you can have faith that in really high times, like a lot of transactions happening or low volume, whatever, like your chain is you can be confident in it, right? I think the problem that Polygon had for a long time, especially like kind of circa 2021 onwards, is that they never really had an identity, and they just kind of went to a lot of different places, tried to be something for NFTs. Then they tried to do the whole this is back when Fwiz, Ryan Wyatt, I think is his real name. He came on to be like the lead ecosystem guy or whatever. And this is when they were winning like Disney, and they were winning Starbucks, and they were doing all this stuff. And it's just like that looked like it was going to be a good time for Polygon. And like I said, they just and then immediately after that they changed into like, oh no, now we're going to be like the ZK EVM multi-aggregate chain. Like they've changed vision so many times that like at some point from a narrative, for better or worse, because a narrative can direct whether people will pay attention to you or not. They kind of lost a lot of attention, and as a result, other players like Base came through, very solid narrative, knew exactly what they were trying to do. People like Optimism, who's like shout out to the Super Chain, like very specific purpose. I know exactly what I'm trying to do, and that's kind of again going back to what a developer cares about. They want confidence in the chain that they're building on. So I don't have any negative thoughts about Polygon except for the fact that they still don't have an identity. I just feel like they're kind of like in the ether of all kind of chains.
So let me pick your brain, because it's been a minute since I researched the subject, but the majority of those chains that you just mentioned are all EVM compatible, right? Ethereum virtual machine. And the majority of them use Solidity as the coding. So my kind of theory on all this is like there's a massive Ethereum community.
It's the largest developer ecosystem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they all know Solidity, and they understand how to build on EVMs, and they kind of gravitate toward in these different clubs on those chains, right? But Ethereum's always where most of them are. But they could easily adopt another chain that is EVM compatible, and you can write smart contracts in Solidity. It's
all EVM compatibility means is that if I write a smart contract that's designed to run on Ethereum L1, it could also run on Avalanche C chain.
Yeah, which is, by the way, one of the reasons why I think Avalanche does have an opportunity to grab some benefit is because I think that I agree 100% with what you're saying about the identity crisis of Polygon. Part of my concern with a lot of the L2 scaling solutions is that you've got this cumbersome user experience challenge between bridging from an L1 to an L2 that at some point you can abstract part of it away from the user experience, but it's a little bit more difficult. As being a platform like Avalanche, where it gives you kind of the ability to have your own L1 where you can use kind of any underlying for the transaction costs. I think that solves part of the friction related to scaling solutions, specifically on the L2 side, that you don't have in the rest of Ethereum land. But that's just why
I want to make a quick side comment about what something that Simeon said. We care. This is probably around the tech, right? We care, but in the real world, no one cares about the tech. Yes, brother, that's true. But remember, you're building something that people will care about. So yes, you need to care about the technology, but your job is also to build an application or a service that people will care about. And then even better, like if you do your job really, really well, the entire thing is abstracted away such that people don't even know that they're operating on a blockchain. And I feel like there's so few blockchain based applications that have achieved that. I honestly can't even think of one that comes to mind. Something that doesn't have the friction of like signing a transaction or like or making a claim or whatever. So yeah, sorry, that was just a quick side note that I wanted to make to Simeon.
No, Simon always has good stuff in the chat.
Maybe I'm saying his name wrong. I see the E in his name.
Simon, right?
Yeah, Simeon sounds even cooler though.
I used to call him that all the time too.
He's on Russ's team, right?
Yeah. Russ run WaveFi.
Yeah.
And WaveFi is, man, mad respect to what they're doing over there. Basically, they're acting as an intermediary for like business to business. They're basically landing the large contracts for Helium, XNet, Carrier One, and they deal with, set up onboarding of the customer, holding their hand through that process, and they deal with payouts for those customers for business to business. And the setup they have is pretty sophisticated.
Was this the gentleman that came on talking about
Russ? Yeah, Russ.
Like you just won an airport or something like
Mr.
that, right?
Wi-Fi,
yeah, Disney World.
Fucking animal, Doug. Yeah, straight up.
By the way, also legitimate telco engineer who spent a lot of time in the TradY world, and then has also been playing around in DY land for some time. Russ he's an animal, as Joe knows.
Yeah, dude. I was, on the late night Discord calls when him and Simon were figuring out how to do the carrier offload at mass. Like they're good.
Nice.
So now that we've had a couple beverages, at least some of us have, not Will.
Next
Joe,
week,
what is your top 3 shit list of DePIN as a DePIN critic? Because I'm curious.
Shit list?
Yeah. What's your shit list?
I'm not getting into it, dude.
We should have the Joe shitless segment. We're gonna add Joe onto the DePIN Happy Hour.
I'm trying to be better about this rather than coming on and like,
you got to change your name from the DePIN critic to the DePIN middle of the road guy, mid curve.
Yeah, look. So there was, I'm trying to be more constructive when I come on here. I'm serious.
You've actually provided really good, both like a historical lesson and I would say like subject matter expertise experience for how these things work, or they should work, or they can work. Like, I mean, look, we all know that if you've been around for a while, you were in it before most people were in it.
Like I was saying, I've offered my expertise of wireless understanding, Wi-Fi in particular, to most of the projects. And there's some oddities about how Helium access points were working. And I pointed them out, got no traction in the Discord. I went on, made a case about it on Gristle King's show in a very polite manner and talked RF theory. So like, I enjoy the space, but there's just some things that go on here that make me say WTF. Like, why is it being done this way? And I can't hold back.
Yeah. You shouldn't. No, you should call out. You should call out anything that's
always ask questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember we had conversation got at this point, it was like a year ago, about things, and I feel like one of the personal revelations that I had through conversations was like that I had specifically with you was you can do a lot of research and you can feel like you're as knowledgeable about these various topics as you possibly can be. But at the end of the day, the intersection of DePIN and wireless or mobility or whatever it may be requires this degree of understanding of how the rest of the world works that you can't go find from a Google search. And so it does take people like you, like Russ, like Simon or whatever, who have spent time in the field to be able to say, this doesn't work, this doesn't smell right. And for the rest of us, what we find on Google is kind of the lion's share of our knowledge base. So it's good to be able to have like another perspective that says, by the way, there's a component to this that you don't understand.
Yeah.
And I personally really respect it because I don't want to come out like I hate people that are talking all that like they barely know what they're talking about. They just perpetuate some narrative that they regurgitated and heard. And so I've always tried to come from the opposite perspective. Is like I actually want to have a idea and like I'll give you 15% of my knowledge base, but really I've got the other 85% behind it. And so it requires the hard conversations with people like you that say you're off on this to be able to understand the world's a little bit different than what you think it is.
Yeah, and it just comes down to like there are some things that when people are educated about, they come to agreement, just when I don't know, for example, some of the discussions we've talked about tokenomics and token releases, and it's like, does this smell right to the average person? If a community member understood this, would they say, wow, that is really fair and in my best interests? And certain people just don't want to bring any criticism about it. It's like, if we're not critical about it, it's never going to change.
Exactly.
So there's that side of it, and also consider that understanding this stuff takes hours and hours and hours of dedication and research. And like there's still different disciplines. You're not going to know it all, even if it's your life,
Right. I could be the first one to attest to that. I've been working. I only recently got exposed to DePIN in a year ago, truly, and I still find myself learning a ton. And the more that you talk to other people, the more it's like, fuck, like it's a lot that I don't know, a ton that I don't know. So yeah, no, I appreciate perspectives like yours. I'm sorry if I called you a hater too often. I did not mean it in a negative way. I only meant
I don't care one bit. I don't take it personally.
Yeah, no, but like you're cool as fuck. I would love to connect with you offline as well. Gentlemen, my lady is waiting for me to have dinner. I gotta get the fuck out of here. So
let's wrap it up. We'll wrap it up.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
all right.
Of course.
Good to have you, Joe. We gotta get together again, man.
Yeah, seriously. I want to create a segment on the show where it's like the Joe shit list report, and it's like
not gonna happen.
He's constructive now.
I'm trying not to.
I respect
constructive criticism report from Joe. So you have to be wearing you have to wear a construction jacket, like a hard hat, and you're like, okay, here's what I have to say about this project.
Man,
that'd be awesome.
It's not. No, I can't do that. This is what you have to understand. If I do that on your show, these projects are no longer going to want to do business with you. So that's a good reason to not goad me on to doing that.
Scorched earth, Joe. Scorched earth.
You gave up your YouTube career for a reason, right?
Because I don't want to deal with this bull crap.
Nice.
I feel committed to it.
Yeah.
We're sad. The end.
Yeah.
That's a good ending, Screlly. That's a really good ending. No, but I really appreciate everyone. I'm on the verge of about passing out. So I don't know if you guys want to do any final takes or anything like that before we get going. Quez, I know you have to run, so do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start real quick on the final take. Your money's being diluted every single day. $465 million are being printed out of thin air, and it has absolutely no value. If there's absolutely anything you take away from the show, sure, it's not financial advice, but it is protecting your value, your hard work. Maybe consider getting some Bitcoin into your, realm of assets. Ask questions. It's okay to be dumb. It's okay to not know things. I'm the dumbest person on this chat right now, and still I get to ask questions and learn from other people. So it is all good. Yeah, love you guys. Thank you for listening.
Of course, man. Oh yeah, bro. Brad.
Quez plays dumb, but he's not. He's actually really freaking smart.
No, Quez is like secretly
Yeah,
smart
he
as
is.
fuck.
Yeah.
He
Let's be
plays dumb
real.
on TV.
Let's be real, guys. Dial in, man. Joe, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate
for having me.
hopping in here. It was a good session. I think it's constructive. I think I personally think there are some DePIN projects that are doing really well and doing some good things, but there are also a lot that I think are going to get exposed. For sure. I mean, I don't even know how many DePIN projects there are out there. A lot of them are attaching DePIN to their project just because they think it's going to be the next narrative, whatever. But I do think there are brighter times ahead, but you got to be selective, man. You got to be able to be willing to do the research, look where the product market fit is, where there's actual revenue that can be driven. And I think we're gonna have some exciting times ahead.
Nice. Joe. Any final thoughts?
I said in the chat earlier, I'm going to start a new channel, and the channel name is going to be called Hodl20. Make it Hodl 2.0.
You heard it here first,
Oh, yeah.
folks. Give that channel a follow.
Yeah, I haven't created it yet.
Someone take it really fast and sell it
You
to
guys
Joe.
set it up. No, my advice when Seattle 375. I want to be the one to install the Seattle one, by the way, when that does happen. Honestly, my advice is go find the haters of the world, because I have learned more from having legitimately. I think Joe and I've had 2 or 3 conversations outside of a stream, and I feel like I got more from that than I did from hours of research on a lot of the stuff. So go find someone that you disagree with, have a conversation. You might learn something, because it's that is really where the value is. So that's my advice for the
There's plenty of people in plenty of discords, but they seem to gravitate towards the helium discord. They love mansplaining to everyone. You can
Nice.
There's no shortage if you try looking hard enough.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't agree. All great takes, guys.
I get mansplained to all the time in the discords.
Absolutely love to hear it, Joe. Absolutely love to hear it. But no, I definitely agree. I certainly agree with Tyler's take there. Always find people that you don't agree with. Talk to them. Always, figure out ways to widen your knowledge base, widen your perspective. I mean, just kind of an anecdotal situation, with my personal deployment business, I've had many pitches that have gone like wrong, for instance, like where it's like, oh, like this person doesn't understand the business, or they don't get it, but it's because I'm explaining it poorly, right? Like I could learn. I'm always trying to learn. So my take is kind of echoing Tyler's, just always be willing to learn, always be willing to look stupid, because we're all inherently dumb and sad, according to Shkreli. So thank you so much. I want to thank Deep Network again. This is sponsored by Deep Network. Definitely check them out. Deep, thank you so much. We absolutely love working with those guys. Everyone, check us out again next week, 8 p.m. Eastern. This is all of us signing off. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your weekends.